Today we are reading from Parshat Balak. And just because the narrative, it's a little confusing, Balak is the king of Moab. Balak is the king of Moab, and Balaam is a prophet, a non-Jewish prophet. I think somewhere from near the Euphrates, but Balak and Balaam. So part of the story goes as follows, and I mentioned there was this feature. I'm going to start off this feature of a talking donkey. I'm going to start off by just reading in English part of the narrative, because it always seems to me, someone once suggested to me, imagine that you're in the desert at night. This is being told around a campfire. It's a wonderful story. Balak ben Zippor. Balak was king of Moab, and he is very much alarmed by all of this spread of people, these Israelites, this numbers of Israelites who are in front of him, just like the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, was alarmed by the numbers of Israelites too. There seems to be a parallel there. And Balak says that there is a people that came out of Egypt. It hides the earth from view. Balak sent messengers to the prophet Balaam to tell them that. These messengers were to invite Balaam and to tell Balaam, there is a people that came out of Egypt. It hides the earth from view, and it is settled next to me. Come then, King Balak says to Balaam, come then, put a curse upon this people for me, since they are too numerous for me. Perhaps I can defeat them and drive them out of the land. The elders of Moab and the elders of Midian set out to give this message to Balaam. And Balaam said to them, spend the night here, and I shall reply to you as the Lord may instruct me. So the Moabite dignitaries stayed with Balaam. And God came to Balaam and said, what do these people want of you? Balaam said to God, Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab, sent me this message saying, here is a people that came out from Egypt and hides the earth from view. Come now and curse them for me. Perhaps I can engage them in battle and drive them off. But God said to Balaam, do not go with them. You must not curse that people, for they are blessed. So Balaam rose up in the morning and said to Balak's dignitaries, go back to your own country, for the Lord will not let me go with you. So the Moabite dignitaries left, and they came to Balak and said, Balaam refused to come with us. So King Balak sent other dignitaries, more numerous and more distinguished than the first. They came to Balaam and said to him, the king of Moab says, please do not refuse to come to me. I will reward you richly, and I will do anything you ask of me. Only come and curse this people for me. And Balaam replied to these officials, though Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not do anything big or little, contrary to the command of the Lord my God. So you too stay here overnight and let me find out what else the Lord may say to me. So he's going to ask again. That night, God came to Balaam and said to him, if these men have come to invite you, you may go with them, but whatever I command you, that you shall do. And when he arose in the morning, Balaam saddled up his donkey and departed with the Moabite dignitaries. But God was incensed at his going. So an angel of the Lord placed himself in his way as an adversary. Balaam was riding on his donkey with his two servants alongside when the donkey caught sight of the angel of the Lord standing in the path with his drawn sword in his hand. the donkey swerved from the road and went into the fields. And Balaam beat the donkey to turn her back onto the road. The angel of the Lord then stationed himself in a lane between the vineyards with a fence on one side and a fence on the other. The donkey, seeing the angel of the Lord, pressed herself against the wall and squeezed Balaam's foot against the wall. So he beat her again. And yet once more the angel of the Lord moved forward and stationed himself on a spot so narrow that there was no room to swerve either to the right or to the left. When the donkey now saw the angel of the Lord, she lay down under Balaam, and Balaam was furious and beat the donkey with his stick. Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you that you have beaten me these 3 times?" Balaam said to the donkey, "You have made a mockery of me. If I had a sword with me, I'd have killed you." And the donkey said to Balaam, "Look, I am the donkey that you have been riding all along until this day. Have I been in the habit of doing this to you?" And he answered, "No." Then the Lord uncovered Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, his drawn sword in his hand. Thereupon he bowed right down to the ground. The angel of the Lord said to him, "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? It is I who came out as an adversary, for the errand is obnoxious to me. And when the donkey saw me, she shied away because of me those 3 times. If she had not shied away from me, you are the one I should have killed while sparing her." And Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, "I erred because I did not know that you were standing in my way. If you still disapprove, I will turn back." But the angel of the Lord said to Balaam, "Go with the men, but you must say nothing except what I tell you." So Balaam went on with Balak's dignitaries. So what happens? What happens? They arrive. King Balak takes the prophet Balaam up on top of a hill to see the camp of Israel. And Balaam looks up at the camp of Israel and says what he's told to say. He blesses the people rather than cursing the people. And King Balak says, no, that's not what I brought you here to do. We'll go to another hill. We go to another hill. They went to another hill. They went up the hill. Balaam tells the people, Balak says, "Look, there's the people." Balaam looks out and says what he's told to say. He blesses the people. And Balak says, "No, that's not what I brought you here to do. Let's go. There's a third hill. We will go to a third hill." So they go to a third hill. And Balaam looks out across the people, and once more, he blesses the people rather than cursing them. In fact, the third time he says, "Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael," which we sometimes sing. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Traditionally, we often begin morning services, the services of the morning, with this line, this blessing. Ma tovu, how good, ohalecha Yaakov, are your tents, Jacob. Mishkenotecha Yisrael, your dwelling places, Israel. How good are your tents, Jacob, and your dwelling places, Israel. rabbinic midrash suggests your ohalim, ohalecha, your ohalim, your tents. These are your yeshivas, Israel. As it says in the Torah, Esau was a hunter while his brother Jacob dwelt in tents. Not necessarily meaning he was more like his mother, meaning that he was a yeshiva bacher. He studied in yeshiva. So Jacob's tents are yeshivas. And your mishkanot, your dwelling places, well, they are your synagogues. Just like the Israelites built a mishkan or a tabernacle in the wilderness to move with them and to dwell with them, so too the Israelites have built synagogues to be in our midst wherever we have journeyed and dwelt. So, ma tovu, how good are your yeshivas, Jacob, and your synagogues, Israel. And so now we see why every traditional morning service begins with ma tovu. How good are your yeshivas and your synagogues? That's where a lot of our services happen. But all this is getting ahead of ourselves. Why does Balaam recite ma tovu when he sees the Israelite camp? According to the Torah, he says, ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov. How beautiful are your tents, O Jacob, and your dwelling places, Israel, like palm groves that stretch out, like gardens beside a river, like aloes planted by the Lord, like cedars beside the water. Their boughs drip with moisture, their roots have abundant water. Their king shall rise above Agag, their kingdom shall be exalted. On a simple level, the camp may indeed have been very beautiful. It may have been filled with verdant plants and abundantly watered crops, the beauty of which would all be magnified by the dryness of the desert around it. But the rabbis also talk about a moral and ethical beauty which is displayed. Specifically, Midrash talks about the arrangement of the tents, so that the doors of the tents are not set up facing each other, so as to allow privacy and dignity for each family and individual. And of course, also, Balaam may have seen the many yeshivas and synagogues already situated in the midst of the Israelites, the spiritual grandeur of the community. And indeed, community and the nature of community, the strength of community and the moral and ethical nature of community is basic and essential to all of Jewish life and practice. This is why, specifically why, I have asked us to study a small section of Mishnah each time we gather, the section of Mishnah which suggests how we build community together. Community is basic to how we shape ourselves into that spiritual menorah through which the light of Torah shines out into the world. There is a sugya in the Talmud, a passage in the Talmud, in Sanhedrin 17b, Sanhedrin page 17b, which strives to define what a Jewish community worthy of its name would look like. The sugya suggests what type of community a Torah scholar should not live in, and what type of community a Torah scholar could live in. After all, you become the community you keep. The sugya reads, V'tanya, kol ir she'ein ba asara devarim halalu ein talmud chacham roshe ledor betocha. It is taught in a baraita. A baraita is a Mishnah era teaching that was not included in the Mishnah itself. So it's an older Talmudic teaching, as old as the Mishnah, but it was not part of the Mishnah. So it's taught in a baraita. A Torah scholar is not permitted to reside in any city that does not have these 10 things. A court that has the authority to flog and punish transgressors, a charity fund for which monies are collected by 2 people and distributed by 3 as required by Jewish law, a synagogue, a bathhouse, a public bathroom, a doctor, a bloodletter, a scribe to write sacred scrolls and necessary documents, a shochet, that's a ritual slaughterer, and a teacher of young children. And then they said, in the name of Rabbi Akiva, the city must also have varieties of fruit, because varieties of fruit illuminate the eyes. So this list indicates to us what the rabbis participating in that discussion believed was essential for a morally and spiritually beautiful community to have. A morally and spiritually beautiful community should have a court that can enforce its legal decisions regarding justice, a charity fund to provide tzedakah for the needy, and which is operated with proper accountability and oversight, a synagogue for prayer and ongoing religious study, a bathhouse to promote cleanliness, a public bathroom for proper sanitation and public health, a doctor and a bloodletter for medical care, a scribe to write sacred scrolls and necessary documents, a ritual slaughterer for kosher observance, a teacher for young children for educating the next generation. And if you ask Rabbi Akiva, the city must also have varieties of fruit, which sounds like the need for proper nutrition. Note that this is not describing a gated community for the wealthy. This is what a community should have for everyone, to be a moral and ethical community. Institutions of justice, of charity, of prayer and education, public health, health care, record keeping and kashrut and nutrition. Community is meant to extend benefit to everyone as a matter of justice and human dignity. I have been studying with some people in our congregation about the nature of Jewish life, and we have been reading through the we've started reading through the 3-volume Reconstructionist Guide to Jewish Practice. And there is an entire section in these volumes called Community, Gimilut Chesed, and Tikkun Olam. That's community, deeds of kindness, and repairing the world. That is the name of the section. The section itself is lengthy. It's over 70 pages, indicating how important the concept of community in itself is to the entire context of Jewish life. And the section links community to the ethics of justice and kindness, indicating that it is not even possible to think Jewishly about our obligations of justice and kindness without considering the place of community. In fact, this guide to Jewish practice even suggests that we coin a new word to describe this. The word kihilut. In Hebrew, kihila is community. Kihilut would be communityism. That is to say, that in today's atomized modern society, which emphasizes so much the isolated individual, we should try speaking about how to do community, how to practice kihilut, how to practice communityism. Is it coincidence that I am reading this with some members of our community as we enter into Parshat Balak, where the question of what a beautiful community is comes up front and center? Unfortunately, we do read Parshat Balak this year at a time when the foundations of community and communal ethics are being openly attacked in societies around the world and in places around the country. Access to healthcare, to justice, or to food, access to the basic structural support of public education and health, the ability to practice free speech or conduct scholarship, all of these are under active attack. The question of what constitutes a moral society and what constitutes a wicked community, on the other hand, is staring us starkly in the face. We need to hold on more tightly than ever to the vision of community that we proclaim when we sing Ma Tovu Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. How good are your tents, O Jacob, and your dwelling places, Israel. And we need to help each other and help other faith communities around us proclaim that vision more loudly. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.